Voices of Resiliency, where the wound becomes wisdom and the story becomes medicine. Voices rise, hearts remember, we are healing together.
Good morning and welcome to Voices of Resiliency. I'm your host, Kris, with my co-host here, Michael Pellegrino. How are you, Michael?
All right, welcom everyone.
Yeah,
Doing good,
we're
Kris.
excited to be here.
Yeah, very much so.
And we have this beautiful lady over here to our right, Lori Alhadeff. Alhadeff?
Yes,
Is that
thank
correct?
you.
Yeah. Wow, I did that. That was amazing. We're so excited to tell Lori's story today. She has a story of resilience, obviously, being on Voices of Resiliency. She's the mother of Alyssa, who was killed in 14 years old in the 2018 school shootings. And after that tragedy, Lori and her husband made a decision that defined her entire story. Lori, will you tell us about this story and how it came about and give us some insight as to what was going through your mind when everything happened and how you became into this beautiful nonprofit, Our Schools Safe, Make Our Schools Safe?
So in 2018, it was Valentine's Day, and I received a text message saying shots fired at Stoneman Douglas High School, kids running and jumping the fence. I immediately had this sense of loss that came over my body. I just could feel that something was wrong with Alyssa. Alyssa is my daughter. She was only 14 years old, and that horrific day, Alyssa was shot 8 times in her English classroom. A shooter came onto campus at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, was able to walk in an unlocked door, walk past the guy on the security cart that didn't have a panic button, didn't call for a lockdown, and Alyssa and 16 others were murdered that day.
Wow. Well, obviously, that's a very heavy story in and of itself. But tell me, after everything happened, you guys turned this grief and this tragedy into something really amazing. And now you're making a huge difference in America and in the school system in general. Isn't that true?
Yeah, so my husband, Dr. Lori Alhadeff, and I, we turned our pain and grief into action. We knew that we wanted to make schools safe and focus specifically on school safety. So Make Our Schools Safe, we're a nonprofit organization. We focus on Alyssa's Law, Alyssa's Act, Moss Clubs, and we raised over $1 million and given back to schools already for school safety projects at their schools.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's absolutely amazing what they're doing, and so happy to be a part of that, and so grateful that you're here, Lori, to tell this story, because I think a lot of people need to hear your story of resilience, and Dr. Elon's as well, too, and your family.
Do you guys have a goal set for yourself for what you'd like to raise and how you'd like to what you'd like to accomplish in Alyssa's name?
So every year we like to try to raise over $1 million each year, and predominantly that money goes back to schools for school safety measures like cameras, bulletproof glass, panic buttons, mental health programs, resiliency programs, and goes into our Moss Clubs. And then our ultimate goal is to pass Alyssa's Law in every state across the country as a standard level school safety protection. So every teacher has their wearable panic button so that they can press it, whether it's a medical emergency or worst case scenario in an active shooter situation.
Now, is there something about a silent alarm that I was reading that you guys have that's kind of a unique idea that you guys started up?
So that's Alyssa's Law, which we've passed now in 12 states. And every teacher has their wearable panic button. And so whether it's a medical emergency, if a student passes out, they press their panic button 3 times. And then help gets on the scene as quickly as possible. So that's the whole goal. We know that time equals life. And the faster that we can get help on the scene, we know the more lives will be saved. And in the Appalachia shooting, the panic button was used. And 9 people that were shot, they all lived because EMS got there faster and triaged all 9 of those people that were shot, and they all lived.
Wow.
That is amazing. And being a school resource officer, several years back. I can't tell you how much time equals, and time equals life, and I love that.
What a great idea. What a great story. I mean, that's incredible. So tell me about Alyssa when she was young. What's the one thing that pops in your head memory-wise? Obviously, this is a horrible and tragic and something that you can't even put words to, but what's the one memory you have of her that stands out to you as like a really beautiful moment?
So a couple of things, obviously, but Alyssa had a beautiful laugh. But one story was Alyssa was texting me. She was in school, and she asked me to get her Spanish textbook. So I was looking for a Spanish textbook. I couldn't find it. She's like, keeps texting me, go to the car. I go to the car. I couldn't find the Spanish textbook. And she just keeps like obsessively texting me over and over and over. So I got really upset, and I trashed her room, flipped her bed, was like throwing things. And I sent her a picture. I said, not here. And so Alyssa came home, and she made a video with her best friend, Abby. And she's like, this is what happens when I ask my mom where my Spanish textbook is. And she's like laughing and crying at the same time. And her room is all trashed. And then after the tragedy, I was sitting in Alyssa's room, and there was a piece of paper, and I turned the paper over. And not only was there one Spanish textbook, but there was two Spanish textbooks.
So this has happened before. This wasn't the first time. She's gotten a replacement Spanish textbook.
One at home and one in school.
Although she probably never asked you to go looking for it again after that, right? She was not going to have her room destroyed. So in 12 states, you were saying that you have gotten this... tell me again, it's called Alyssa's Law?
Alyssa's Law.
What a perfect name for it. I think that's amazing. So what's it going to take to get the other states on board? I mean, is everybody kind of moving along with it, or is it just a slow, arduous process?
Well, it has to go through the legislative process, and we are working really hard to make that happen. Everybody thinks that it's a great idea, which it is, but then we need to connect funding to it so that the schools can then actually implement their panic button once Alyssa's Law is passed. But we're working really hard, and then also with Alyssa's Act at the federal level, which Alyssa's Act would create standards around emergency response so that there'll be those minimum standards for the panic button and digital mapping, so that when we pass Alyssa's Law at the state level, that they'll have these minimum standards.
So federal's got to do their thing. States have got to do their thing. Financially, what does it cost to get this in place? I mean, every teacher wears one. Every administrator has one as well.
Yes, so it's about $11,000 per school per year for the first year, and then it goes down to about $8,000 per year after that.
Well, that seems fairly reasonable for saving lives and keeping children safe.
Yeah, absolutely. If you think about it, our banks have panic buttons. They've always had that to protect our money. And so our students, our kids, they're so much more important than our money, and that we need to make sure that when we send our kids to school, that they are safe.
That just doesn't seem like a lot of money at all at this point.
Doesn't seem like it at all.
Understanding that, it's how can we put a price tag on the most important people in our lives, our children?
No, and Lori put it in a great way. I mean, we protect our money with those things, but we're not protecting our children with it. That kind of makes you feel like we should probably get that done ASAP, because $11,000 is not a lot of money at all for what we're talking about, I think.
Yeah, it's one PTO fundraiser.
Is that all it is? It's one PTO? We just need one sponsor, one person to pick up the tab for everybody. There you go. Let's find somebody that's going to... So tell us, Lori, was there a moment that you realized when the mission was bigger than your pain?
So I would say the day after the tragedy, I drove my car to the Everglades because I felt that was the closest place that I could be with God, and to ask, why Alyssa? And in that moment, I just was looking around and looking at the sky, and it was a bright orange color. And I ended up picking my mom up, and we drove to the morgue because I wanted to see Alyssa. But when I was driving, I was looking in the sky, and I saw how beautiful it was. And I did feel a little bit of sense of peace that Alyssa was okay. But I knew that I needed to do more to protect kids, and that I just couldn't sit complacent and sit idly by while these school shootings continue to happen. And so I wanted to make more of a difference and an impact, not only here in Florida, but across the country.
Yeah, that's as a parent, no parent should ever bury their child. That just should go without saying. But obviously finding the strength to keep going and finding clarity and now a purpose for it. You know, losing my brother last year was the same type of thing. I look at it as he was a soldier in the war of good versus evil, and he died for a good cause. And that's why, you know, as somebody who's a veteran who served in the military, that's how I see my brothers and sisters that fight in the military. So why wouldn't it be the same thing? You know, we lose the good ones that are soldiers for the war, but to have the resolve, be able to wake up and define clarity and purpose is just absolutely incredible. And
I think that's the big word right there, is purpose. And I'm so grateful for you, Lori, because you've taken that actionable step to get there, and now what you're doing across the country. And we're so honored to be a part of, just a little part of what you're doing. So unbelievable.
Thank you. I was a soccer player growing up, and my coach would say to me, when you get knocked down, you got to get right back up. Yeah. And so I've taken that with me, especially with this. And then I got a tattoo that says "Live for Alyssa" with the soccer ball on it and the infinity symbol. And when you turn the infinity symbol sideways, it means forever. And so we put that in our logo and make our school safe. So forever, we'll honor Alyssa and work hard to make our school safe.
That's absolutely amazing. That's really amazing. I love that. And what would you like to say to the schools, the parents, and the lawmakers out there right now that would help them to understand what this is all about and how important it is?
Well, I would say to the students, start a mosque club in your high school.
Yes.
And you can help to create a culture of safety within your school. To the parents, I would say your voice is your power, and that you can really make an impact and difference. Go to your school board meetings, speak up. You know what the vulnerabilities are. Say something about it. Don't sit idly by. You know, I said I lived in the Parkland bubble. You know, we're a very affluent community. I never thought that this would happen to my daughter, Alyssa, but it did. So it's so important that we work together as a community to help to create a safer school environment.
That's amazing. And there's also another part of that symbol, that logo that you have on you. I see the number 8. Can you talk about the number 8? Because I see it in the OO in the school. Mm-hmm. Can you
so Alyssa's soccer number was the number 8. Alyssa started playing soccer at age 3. I admit I was a little pushy about that as a soccer mom, but Alyssa played soccer, and on February 13th, Alyssa played in her last soccer game. She was amazing. Her heading was on, her passing was on, her shooting was on. They won that game, and I got into the car, and I turned around to Alyssa. I said, Alyssa, you know you just played the best game of your life. And she's like, yeah, I know, Mom. She was the captain, the smallest but the biggest voice, and she led her team. And so we honor Alyssa within this infinity symbol. The 8 is very special to us to just keep Alyssa's memory alive.
I gotta say, that's one of those logos that's probably got more meaning in it and more different things than I've ever seen in my life. And that's incredible that you're able to capture so much of her in such a logo of sorts, I guess, but it says so much more than that.
It says so much more too, because I've had the opportunity to be at a conference with Lori, and just to see the power that she brings to the room, and not only the power that she brings to the room, but just the connectivity with the different organizations. And when she gets up and speaks, her words resonate. And I just want to let you know how impactful you are to me personally on a level, but so honored to be a part of what we're doing.
Let me ask you one last question, Lori. What would you say to another parent or family who's trying to survive a tragedy similar to this, how they can move forward?
I would say that everyone's grieving process is different, and that's okay, right? So sometimes people might start a nonprofit organization, or they might just be sad, but you have to keep moving forward. You have to get up every day, have a purpose, and connect with people around you. You know, for me, having family and friends to support me has helped me in my grieving process. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. And so that is the power of us coming together as a family to support each other. And so find your purpose, and I think that will guide you in how to deal with your trauma.
I just had this discussion with a good friend yesterday about purpose. And when you have purpose, you have meaning. And you can put that towards anything, especially action. We all talk about just taking that next step, getting up that one next time. And when we can do that, that's what really, you don't have to win every battle, but you just have to get up. You just have to you just have to get to that next day. And, things will get better. It's, the old theory of when you see that storm, you're running into it because you're going to get out of it a lot quicker on the other side. So that's resiliency right there. Not only getting back up, bouncing back, but being able to move forward.
Yeah, that's for sure. That is the ultimate resiliency. I think Lori's story probably resonates with anybody and everyone out there that has children or has anyone that they care about. And, obviously the strength and the power of what you're doing is just, it's resiliency in its purest form. So thank you so much for sharing that story and for being vulnerable and allowing people to see that and understanding that that Alyssa wasn't ended that day. She was begun that day, and her life is still carrying on in every single school and every single transmitter and every single thing that you guys do. So we really appreciate you very much, and it's an honor to meet you and an honor to listen to you, and deeply inspired.
Thank you. And every day I live for Alyssa. Alyssa's with me, and I'm Alyssa's voice now. And I just appreciate being here with you, and thank you for your support. And for everybody listening, please go to makeourschoolsafe.org to join the school safety movement.
And we'll definitely get that posted too on that. And I just can't even tell you that what the story is. It's Lori, just knowing you and Elon, and just moving forward and just being able to take that next step. Thank you.
Thank you.
And let's get out there and get those Moss Clubs started. And 38 states need to go ahead and push this thing through. So we can say 50 states have this program. So politicians, make it happen. People, talk to your politicians. Yes. Thank you, Lori. We appreciate it very much. Have a wonderful day.
Remember, life gives you the moment, but your response writes the story. Catch it, pause, reframe. This is Voices of Resiliency.